new here. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone here. Hello. Okay. I would like to
Hi.
say happy New Year to all of you. I believe that last year was quite a challenging year to most of us. So I believe that this year is going to be a better year. So wish everyone has a better health and a lot of abundance this year. So we sure we can do better this year. All right. And then before we start the session, our talk today. So I'm going to brief you a little bit about our Facebook page. So our Facebook page is called Aphasia in Malaysia. So how do we have this kind of Facebook page? Actually, our intention is very, very simple. We just want to create a platform for the individuals living with aphasia. What is aphasia? Later we will share with you. And then we'll also create a platform for the family and caregivers and also professionals to share with each other about the aphasia related information and also shared about your stories, your testimonials, or whatever related to aphasia. Yeah, we can always discuss, we can always share here. So you are not alone. Okay, so I believe that those who are living with aphasia, so must have faced a lot of challenges throughout the journey. So you must feel very, very lonely sometimes because nobody can understand you. But no worries. So in this platform, you sure can find your true friend. If you really cannot find, never mind. At least,
Raymond would be your friend.
yes, Gigi, you're right. At least I can be your first friend. And of course, Gigi
We
can
can
be
be
your,
your friend.
yeah, we
Yes.
can be your friends. Okay, you can talk to us. Okay, we understand you at least, yeah. Okay, but mostly, okay, we are still learning. Okay,
Yes.
so today we are going to share about what is aphasia, and I'm not a speaker today. Okay, today I'm a host, so I will be asked a lot of questions. Okay,
Uh,
all
not too
right.
much.
Yeah. So and today's let me introduce myself first, lah. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Raymond. I'm a speech and language therapist. So, but I'm not the creator of this Facebook page, lah. So sorry. So I'm just an assistant. Okay.
Co-creator. Raymond helped
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah. I'm just an assistant. Okay. So, let me introduce the speaker today. So our speaker today, she is a speech and language therapist, of course. Okay. Secondly, she is now working in the private rehab hospital. So that means she is working with a lot of patients living with aphasia. So definitely, she's more than qualified to share about this topic with all of you. Yeah. So most importantly is she is the creator of this Facebook page. Please give her a big hand. I think this is a very, very good initiative. I believe that in Malaysia, still have a lot of people don't know what is aphasia. Even they know, but they don't know what is that. So they, or maybe they just feel that aphasia is somebody cannot talk. That's all. But what is the truth behind? So let us welcome today's speaker, Zizi, to share with us what is aphasia. Let's welcome.
Thank you, Raymond, for your kind and enthusiastic introduction. Yeah, so today is the first series of our webinar. We're trying to do this regularly this year. So that's our New Year resolution to do more activities. Yes,
Yeah.
and Raymond has
Yes.
been very helpful with that. But first off, we thought it would be nice to start with what is aphasia because this page is about aphasia anyway, right? So it might be a very foreign term, sounds very medical. No one knows what it is when I tell people I work with people with aphasia. So we can just roll in and talk more about it. So if you go and Google, like we can move to the second slide. If you Google what is aphasia, it pretty much tells you like what you need to know. It's a condition that affects language and communication, but we'll talk further in the next slides. So a bit of background, like the word aphasia is from ancient Greek. That means like something like loss of ability to speak. So sometimes in medical file or report, you will see it labeled as dysphagia. We've been trying to advocate for the use of aphasia for many years, but sometimes you can still see dysphagia. They basically means the same thing. So it is a language disorder, it is a communication disorder, it's complex, it affects a lot of things. So we know what is aphasia now, and then we're gonna see what is not aphasia as well.
So Zizi, may I just
Mm,
interrupt you because I cannot
yes,
tahan already. Because
yes.
I remember one of my patient right asked, no, it's not patient. Patient cannot talk already. It's a patient family. Then
Okay,
the family member asked me, hey, actually I know the patient is having aphasia already. Then the family member
okay.
asked me, is she mad?
Uh,
so in Cantonese you
Definitely
say
not.
佢係咪黐線咗啊？係咪啊？So 唔識講嘢係咪黐線咗咧？So meaning is she mad? Is she having some mental disorder? Or is she deaf? So we have to shout very loud to them so that they can understand. What do you
Yeah,
think?
so if you move to the next slide, you'll see that that is exactly like what we've talked about and the questions that we've heard in the clinic. Because aphasia usually happens very suddenly, and when people that you see and talk to every day, suddenly cannot talk to you as usual, cannot understand you, then the family members are also having a difficult time to process it. So that's why they will have all these questions. So to answer your question, it is
Mm,
definitely not a hearing problem. They can
mm,
hear you all right, but the problem is with understanding what you are saying. So it doesn't help if you're yelling at them; they still feel heard. But it will help if you are talking in short and also simple sentences in a
mm,
slower speed. And it is definitely not a loss of intelligence, even though they
mm,
can't communicate as well using language. Means they can still understand things, they can do a lot of cognitive tasks, but issue with language. And like to answer your question just now, it is not a mental disorder. Definitely.
mm,
They are not out of their mind, they are not insane, but they are doing all of this because something happens to their brain. And so we're
mm.
going to talk about what is the cause of aphasia. The next slide.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, aphasia, to put it simply, happens because there's a damage to the language area of brain. So the most common reason for aphasia is stroke. Some studies show that up to 40% of stroke survivors will have aphasia at some point. So later on, some people might recover better and become like might recover from aphasia, but 25 to 40% of stroke survivors will actually have it. So mostly stroke patients, and sometimes aphasia can also be caused by traumatic brain injury. For
Mm,
example, if you had an accident, if you hurt
mm,
your head very badly, it will also affect the language area of your brain. Sometimes brain tumor, brain infection, or basically anything that affects your brain. So that is the cause of it. And
mm,
then we're gonna look at how common is aphasia in Malaysia. So we don't really have statistic nationally to tell us like how many aphasia patients we have right now. We also don't have statistic about how many stroke patients we have right now, but we
yeah.
know that stroke is very common. All of us, I believe, know or at least have heard of someone who had a stroke. So
Mm,
it's actually the third leading cause of death in Malaysia. It is going up, maybe sometimes second if you look at different studies. So just now I've said like up to 40% of these stroke patients will have aphasia. And I believe this number will only be more and more
mm,
because in Malaysia, our country is aging. Right now, like more than 7% of Malaysians are more than 65 years old. But in 10 years, it's going to be 15%, and it's only going to be more and more. And the incidence of stroke is also increasing. Like according to our acute stroke registry, there's an annual increment, meaning every year they are increasing like up to 20 something percent. I think this has something to do with their recording more as well. But you can definitely see an upward trend. And
mm,
also increasingly, strokes are affecting younger adults. So right now, like it's not that uncommon to see stroke patients that are 40 years old, 30 years old. I've seen couples that in their 20s. We don't have statistics, but in the US, you can see that adults below 35 years old are actually like 15% of ischemic stroke are among this population, and it's gonna create a lot of social burden because these people, they should be working and contributing to their family and society. And but that's another long story. But basically, aphasia is very common. It could be more common, and that's why I think we should and we need to talk more about it.
Yeah, I think it's our responsibility. Nowadays, I think in Malaysia, still a lot of people don't know what aphasia is. So they probably they come across like why my loved ones cannot talk after the stroke. So they don't know what happened. So they might think
Yeah.
that so their speech can outgrow themselves. So they just let it be lah. So I let my loved ones learn how to walk first. So the talking leave to the last part. So maybe they don't understand what aphasia is and how actually we can help to
Yes.
improve their aphasia condition as fast as possible, right?
Yes.
Yeah. This is our responsibility, to see. Okay, actually, it's not their fault. It's not family's fault. It's our fault. Okay.
Yeah, because
We should-
they don't have to know about every condition out there, but
Yes.
it's health professionals' duty to educate the public. I
Yes.
definitely
We have
agree.
to. We will definitely repent on this.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
All right.
Too much, but yeah. So yeah, moving on, just to look at some of the types of aphasia. So sometimes people have different ways of categorizing it. So the most common one, if you look at the left, they will say, it's a receptive aphasia, meaning that person has difficulty understanding. Expressive, meaning that person have difficulty expressing, meaning talking or communicating. And global means both. And that pretty much correspond with the other two type of classifications. So if it's a fluent aphasia, meaning this person probably have difficulty understanding but can speak all right. Non-fluent means, the output is impaired. And then Wernicke and Broca is a bit more medicals because Wernicke is the brain area for um, auditory comprehension or understanding of speech, and then Broca is the speaking part.
So,
So that
so, so basically, the Weniki means is how does
receptive,
it come from? How does it
yeah.
come from? How does this name come from?
So it is the area of brain,
Mm,
like within the brain, they name all the different areas. And
yeah.
so that's the area of brain that's responsible for processing all the sounds and speech that we listen.
Yep. All right.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Next slide, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So if someone has aphasia, they will have difficulty in at least one of these areas. So, we talk about a lot about speech, but people sometimes forgot like language is also in written form. So they might have difficulty in reading, in writing, and of course, like what we said, like understanding what others say and speaking. So it is very different according to the areas of the brain affected and also the severity of the damage.
Mm,
Um, so every people with aphasia has different symptoms, and that's why we
mm.
say it's a complex issue.
Yeah, it can be very complex because when you talk about communication itself is very already complex. So what's
Yes,
more with a if a patient having this kind of issue? So I cannot really imagine how difficult it would be. Yeah.
yes. So if we move on, before I talk a little bit into the details of the symptoms, I would like to share an analogy that I really like. So I've heard this analogy from somewhere else. So it
Yeah.
says like having aphasia is a little bit like going to a foreign country where you can't speak the language. So like all these languages that you see here, like Korean, um, Tamil, French, and that's my favorite character there. That's Burmese. It looks a bit
Oh.
like but
Oh.
in different position actually.
Oh,
But
which one is
but
Burmese?
the upper left,
Oh, the upper left. Oh, all right.
it
Okay.
looks a bit like but like okay. Anyway,
It's like an alien language to me.
yes. So it is like that for people with aphasia as well. So
Mm,
it's like if you suddenly throw me to like a small town in India where no one can speak
yeah.
English, so they'll be very lost, very confused. But like what we said just now, there are different severity as well. So like very
Yeah.
severe cases, it might be what I described now. But for milder cases, it might be like, Maybe you've learned Japanese 10 years ago in high school, and
mm,
now going to Japan, you can
yeah.
understand a bit, but not that much. When people speak too fast, you're like, oh no, I cannot. So that is a bit like that. So hopefully, if you understand this, then you might be able to understand them a bit more and support them as well. So
Mm, but
moving on,
but
yeah.
somehow they can still survive in the foreign place.
Yeah, so yes, exactly. They can still understand gestures, like you can still do things to
Ah,
communicate, but
yeah.
most of our communications are still relying on the words that we're using.
Mm, all right.
Yeah,
Okay, got you. All right, next slide.
yes. So some of the common symptoms, so we're splitting it into the categories. So understanding part, definitely they have difficulty understanding what others say, especially if it's like a lot of things being spoken in a very fast speed. So also different according to severity. For very
Mm,
severe um, patient, they might have difficulty understanding the simplest word, like, how are you, like point to your
mm,
eyes, these kind of things. But for people with milder cases, it's probably just like if I'm telling them like three, four things at one go,
mm,
they might forget the last two.
mm,
So definitely different according to individual. Same for
mm,
speaking as well. Verbal
mm,
expression is limited. So
mm,
severe patient might only be able to make sounds, say one or two words, okay, good,
mm,
or what we say, telegraphic speech. I know
mm,
telegraph is a bit, from a different era, but that
mm,
brings us the idea. So, for example, like me, if we are speaking in normal sentences today, I might say, oh, tonight I want to eat char kway teow for dinner. But if they're having difficulty expressing, they're using telegraphic speech, meaning they just want to use the littlest amount of speech to convey. They might just say one char kway teow because
mm,
it's hard for them to construct long sentences. So
mm.
another very common symptom is word finding difficulties, very common among elderlies and also forgetful people like me as well. So
Yeah,
sometimes,
this is very common to me also.
yeah, yeah, oh, yes. Sometimes like they might see this little comb, they also know this is a comb, but they can't remember what's the word for it. So they might be this. So that is an example of word finding difficulties.
Mm,
Another common
mm,
symptom is what we call verbal paraphasia. So meaning saying a different word. So for example, they know this is comb, but when they point to it, they say hair. So sometimes
mm.
it's a related word, sometimes not unrelated word, but they're not using the right word.
But it could be
So
very,
that,
very serious in this, paraphasia.
yes,
You can turn into fight between the,
it can
the
cause misunderstanding because they are
understanding.
still saying words, but it's not what they mean in their mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Can you
Yeah,
imagine if
yeah.
you want to eat the fish, but you say chicken? So,
Oh,
family member ask, yeah,
actually, I've heard a case like
yeah.
the wife was complaining the husband got
Mm,
angry at the children very often because he often do this paraphasia, like what you said just now. Like he wants fish, but he asked for chicken, and then the children
yeah,
brings him chicken, and then he got angry at the children. He's like, "No, I didn't want this." So a bit of family conflict there.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's some of the examples of how it might affect,
Yeah.
yeah, life and everything.
But of
So
course, there are
moving on.
ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, but of course, there are ways to clarify before we really get the correct message, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Next slide. Right. Okay. I
Yeah.
talked too much.
No, no, no. Moving on to the written part. So, difficulty with reading, as also with the more severe cases, they'll have difficulty even recognizing numbers, alphabets, characters, like for Chinese characters and
Mm,
stuff. So
mm,
difficulty understanding written words, but for the milder one, maybe just like a bit of error at like sentence or paragraph levels. And for stroke patient, it might be a bit more complicated because they might have visual processing
mm,
or perception issue. Same for writing, they might have, weakness in their right hand and they can't hold the pen properly and
mm,
things like that.
mm.
And nowadays, we're also looking at typing because a lot of people type more than they write.
Yeah, I agree.
We don't carry a pen around, but we carry a phone around every day.
I
So,
carry stylus.
yeah, oh yeah, you're writing though, mechanical, yes, you're writing.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of writing, they might have difficulty writing the word out. So, they might write,
Mm,
they might tell you this is A, they write, but it doesn't look like an A. for Chinese character, they might be, you know, half of it is correct and then they're missing a few strokes. So difficulty writing, or sometimes when they're writing, they have like spelling or grammatical errors, or like writing a different word. So these are some of the symptoms that we see. And then if you look at the next slide, you will see some of the common impact beyond language, because language is such a huge part of communication, and communication is such a huge part of our life. So if you have a language disorder, definitely it will affect your mood and mental well-being. In fact, the rate of aphasia, the rate of depression among aphasia patients is very high. It's higher than among stroke patients. So if you see the numbers, it can be up to 70%, but depending on the studies, the number fluctuates. So like what we say, it affects relationship with family and friends because you cannot communicate effectively. There might be, you know, frustration, you cannot communicate, you got angry, the family couldn't understand you, they got angry. And it affects your social activities because you might not want to join the social activity if you cannot understand what people are saying, or you cannot speak fluently, or your family members and friends don't know how to communicate with you, so they just like stay away from you for a bit. And definitely affects returning to work. So it affects everything in your life. And according to studies, affect your quality of life more than cancer or even Alzheimer's disease. So it is very, very it
impactful.
affects, yes, exactly, it affects everything.
Yeah, it
Um,
affects them.
yeah. So moving on. So if you, for someone with aphasia, definitely you will recommend the first step is to go see a speech language therapist and get an
Yeah.
assessment. So to find out, like, you know, what is your condition, what area of language is affected, or like what type of aphasia, so that you can target all this area and plan treatments accordingly. So you can find a speech language therapist nowadays in most major hospitals, private hospital, government hospitals, most major hospitals to have one. We don't really have enough speech therapists in Malaysia, but that's another story. But also, you can also go to the Malaysian Association of Speech and Hearing website. There's a list of qualified and registered SLPs, so you can see if there's one near you. And so the next step after finding out what's wrong is to get treatment. So your speech language therapist would recommend the treatment for you, and according to the assessment results, and then you can move, like continue on and work on all those areas that they've identified. And the third step that I think is very important as well, especially in Malaysia where we don't have enough speech therapists. So not everyone can get regular speech therapy session, is to find other people with the same condition, to connect with each other, to support each other. So find your friends and join a support group. Like a lot of stroke patients, they go to NASAM, the National Stroke Association. They have regular activities and things like that, and also activities by us. We hope to
Yeah,
function.
like this
Yes,
Facebook page.
yes. I mean, we're really small at the moment. We're
Yeah.
not doing a lot. We used to organize outing sessions before
Yeah.
the MCO. So
Yeah.
hopefully we can do more and be more useful to share information and um, to hold activities for you all to connect and to learn more as well. So that is also what studies find very helpful for people with aphasia, to have a supportive community, to have people with the same condition that you can connect to. So that is what we would recommend for both aphasia. Yep. And then I think that is all for my content. It's time for questions, if we have any.
I think so far everybody is enjoying our session together.
Okay,
So they
awesome.
forgot to pose question, or maybe you're speaking very clearly, you explain very clearly, so no question yet.
Awesome. So,
but,
well,
but,
our page,
but maybe,
yeah, sorry,
sorry,
our page, yeah,
maybe I can ask on behalf lah. I think
okay.
this one, right, if let's say you have a friend, you know, or you
Uh-huh.
know some patients living with aphasia, the family
Mhm.
would want to know actually can aphasia be cured or not?
Okay.
Mm.
That is a. Oh, I actually have a friend who's doing a PhD on this topic. How to
Oh.
answer this will I get better question?
Hmm.
So
All right.
yes, and according to a study, the most common answer is it depends. So that would also be my answer. Generally, I would say
Yeah.
generally it will
Yeah.
get better, but
Yeah.
how much better? As in, like, can you go back to your level before aphasia? Depends
Mm.
on a lot of things. Depends on the type of aphasia that you have, the
Mm.
severity of aphasia that you have, the treatment that you receive, your motivation to go on with the treatment, and other factors, such as your age, your family support. All of this will affect the outcome. So I can never directly tell the patient, oh, you will recover or you will recover in 3 months. So it really depends. And what we can do is we do our best. Us as therapists do our best, and the patient and family also do their best to improve.
Yeah.
So that's my
Yeah.
answer.
Thank you, Zizi. I think an individual living with aphasia, they must have a lot of potentiality to break through, even though they cannot speak for time being. But a lot of things I think they still can do. Okay, take one
Yes,
example.
definitely.
You see my shirt or not? Okay, you see I
Yes,
purposely wear this shirt.
yes, I love that shirt. I need to get one.
So what's the word say? Actually, it's aphasia. Okay, but actually, it's not the main point. The main point is actually this T-shirt actually was designed by one of my patients last time. So I think, what do you think about this shirt?
I love it. I told you I need to get it.
I feel so proud when wearing this. But actually, the main point is I believe all patients living with aphasia would have some potentiality awaiting for you to break through. Yeah, if we
Definitely.
yeah, so as alongside focusing on restoring your speech function with your speech therapist, I believe there are quite a lot of things they still can do lah.
Creative
But
outlets. Yeah, there are a lot of
yeah,
aphasia artists out there.
yeah, but of course this one we can share more in details in the next session. Okay, want to play
Yeah.
a trailer here first.
We'll share more about different topics. So let us know, like, if there's any topic that you're interested in, or you have your stories to share. We also welcome that.
Yeah, of course, if you have more questions to ask about aphasia, you can leave the comment after our live session is off, and then we will try our best to answer you also.
Yes.
And yeah, okay. I think this is our first ever online webinar in our Facebook page. So it's like the
So
test.
give us a bit of encouragement.
Yes, we are so daring. Okay, so but we quite a lot of audience with us tonight. So we are so touched. We hope
Thank you
that
so
we
much for
can.
your
Yeah,
support.
yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the audience for joining us. We hope we can do better and better. But of course, if you have more ideas about the topic you would like us to share about, you just let us know. We'll try our best to take out all the great stuff to and share with you. Okay.
Raymond,
I
I actually have one last slide.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
No, but it's just like message
All right.
to
Okay.
all lah.
Sure. Oh, this
So
is
it's
very important. This is very important. You have to talk.
yes, okay. So before we end this, I'm just waiting for Raymond to pull that out. But before we end this, I would like
Oh,
to
sorry.
invite all of you to like and share our page. We'll try to post more different information. We're always doing that, like sharing information, helpful resources. So we'll appreciate if you can like and share our page, share it with your friends and family. And if you do that, you will get notified about our future events and activities. We hope to organize more this year, as we mentioned just now. And lastly, there's a little sign up button in our Facebook page actually. If you click there, right, you can leave your details and join us as a participant for future events. We might do a newsletter later on, but not now. And also, we encourage people to join us as a volunteer as well. Regardless if you're family members, if you're health professionals, if you think you have something to share, you want to help, we really, really appreciate that. So that's all.
Yeah, please join us. Don't forget, you cannot find a friend, you can find us. Okay. All right. I think
Okay.
that's all for today. So we hope to see you again next round. And then we're going to share you more exciting topics with all of you. And not the least, so Happy New Year to all of you. And we hope
Yes,
that
Happy New Year.
you all have a better year this year and better health. All right. See you
Take
see you
care and
again.
stay
Take
safe.
care.
See you.
Bye bye.
Bye.